Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 2 of Amplifi Unplugged. I'm your host, Rob Leonard, and with us on this episode this week, hard rock metal band from Owen Sound, SOULSLAVE. Guys, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
It's good to be here. Thanks, Rob.
All right, let's start by, I'll get you guys to introduce yourselves one at a time, obviously.
Sure. I'm Jesse Tilson, lead vocals and rhythm guitar.
Drew Trimble, I play drums.
Pablo Castro on bass.
I'm Scott to play rhythm, backup vocals, and some lead.
Yeah, he does.
You play bass, and your voice is very bass as well, eh?
In the low end, yeah.
You got that. Right on.
Classic.
Well, the last show we did, the bass player and the drummer didn't show up. Go figure, right? Okay, but everybody's here this week, but the bass player was late. All right.
Beggars can't be choosers. You know what I mean? Yeah.
All right, guys, let's start out with a little history of the band here. Now, I had a chance to speak with Jesse last night. Jesse and I were talking away, and it seems to me that I may have been there the very first show that you guys ever played.
You sure were. You sure were. Way back in 2007, the first band that I was ever in, and the first band that I was in with this guy and Scotty over here, Obeying the Call was its name. And that was our first show in the basement of Calvary Church. We didn't have a vocalist at that time. I hadn't taken up the reins yet. We were still in the search, trying to find just someone just to focus directly on vocals. And after months and months of no luck really finding anybody to even come out for a tryout or even a jam, I just kind of got fed up, and for the sake of the band said, well, I'll give it a go. You know, James Hetfield was my idol and still is, and so I started the singing duties and never looked back.
Awesome, yeah, so that's great. We won't say how many years ago that, well, let's say how many years ago that was.
It was 10 years ago.
Oh, 10 years ago, wow, that's amazing, yeah, but yeah, it was. I still remember the show as being a very good one. Even though minus the vocalist instrumentally in that, I really enjoyed your set that night. So great to see you 10 years later. So, all right, awesome. Okay, so now this is a new version of what it was 10 years ago. Let's talk a bit about how the four of you have come together here with the new project with SOULSLAVE.
Okay, well, I'll start and then I'll pass the mic down. What happened was when Obeying the Call wrapped up, and I think around 2008 or 9, we stopped with that. Drew and I here went on and we joined another local band, Rajazi. We played with them for a bit. And then after that, we kind of did our own cover band kind of thing. And then after that ran its course, we just kind of stopped with music in general. I put my guitar down for a while. And then one day, about 3 years ago or so, I got a phone call on my cell, and I'm looking at the number, and I'm like, God, I recognize this number. This number is from the past for sure. And I called it back, and it was Scotty Millman over here. And he was like, hey, man, like, what are you doing? We should have a jam just for old time's sake. And yeah, so I got in touch with this guy, Drew, and said, hey, Scotty wants to jam just for old time's sake. And Drew was playing in another band at the time. I'll let you take the reins.
Okay, yeah, I was playing in a band called Grandview. It was just a local cover band with a group of guys. And our bass player, singer, actually moved to Cambridge for a job. So through Kijiji, we hooked up with Pablo. So Pablo came and took up the bass with us, and we started. We played one show, and I got the phone call from Jesse to say, "Hey, you want to get together for a night?" So we did, and it was like that following week, I think, where I text my buddy to say, you know, I'm dropping out. I'm going back with the heavy stuff. So. And I do believe it wasn't about 10 minutes later that Pablo texted me to say, hey, I heard you quit the band. And I was like, well, hey, I did. And
you should too.
Yeah. And we need a bass player. So why don't you come along with us? So
Yeah, I do remember that. It was I hadn't played music in a band for a few years by then, so I was just new to the area, and I went on Kijiji and I found these guys, and good guys to play with. But honestly, I only really hit it off with Drew. Same influences, and with the bass and the drums, we were in sync. So when he left, I was thought, oh, this kind of sucks. But when he gave me that invitation, I said, I'm taking it. And first show over there, I remember I walked in, and I still remember hearing Jesse sing for the first time. And after that first song, like, geez, the pipes on this guy. Yeah, and then after that, it was just meant to be at that point.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it's amazing how I should let you give your bit there.
Yeah.
Let Scott. You started.
I kind of wanted to get back together and just kind of do a nostalgia night and just jam some old tunes, OTC tunes. And sure enough, the spark was there, and the boys were like, you know what? Let's keep doing this.
Didn't we end up finishing?
And we finished a song that was almost 5 years old called "Off to War," and we ended up finishing it that night. And the rest is history. Here we are.
Song I learned from you guys.
Yeah, and here we are, SOULSLAVE 2017, and just having fun, no looking back. Yeah.
That's an amazing story. Yeah, it's amazing how just that one phone call can spark all of those old feelings, and then thinking, let's do this again, right? And you get back together, the chemistry's there, you bring in a new member to the band, everything fits. Hey, that's a recipe for success. Pavel, the missing link. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk. You just mentioned that you've got some new music that you're writing, and your very first EP, first time you guys have been in studio.
Yes,
the
sir.
EP is called Meant to Be. Now, obviously, this title means something to someone or to all of you. Am I correct in that assumption?
It means the world to every one of us in this band, I believe. Meant to Be just kind of, it says everything about this band in those 3 words. Everything came together, the stars aligned, the timing was right, and not just that, but defined 3 guys that you click so well with, not just on the stage musically, but like I'm a firm believer that in this band we're friends first, we're bandmates second, and so because of that, there's absolutely no ego, and it's so refreshing because we can come into the jam room and we can start writing a song, and you have the free reins. If you don't like what you hear, say, you know what, that doesn't sound right to my ears, or that's just not, I don't feel good about that, or whatever it is. Yeah, and there's nothing taken personal. It's all about, okay, well, that's absolutely your opinion, and at the end of the day, it's about serving these songs, right, and doing them justice, and building and constructing them the best way that we can. So Meant to Be, it just captures all of that, and we're here for a reason, and it's to make music. The name of our band is SOULSLAVE because our souls are slaves to music.
And and I totally can, I agree with your sentiment, your idea that when things come together so easy, when things just seem to fall into place that easy, then yes, it is meant to be, And now, prior to us starting this recording today, you told me about this amazing thing that you guys are going to do with the proceeds. Yeah. Once this EP is ready, once it's mastered, once it's packaged, you're going to charge $10 per CD. But I want you to tell everyone where that $10 is going to go.
So here's the deal with SOULSLAVE. We love where we come from. We love what we do. And it's because of that we want to give back. We understand that local bands need local support. And how many of those bands do you see support local? And so that's what we're trying to do with our album, Meant to Be. Once it is packaged, we'll be selling them, like you said, $10 a pop. The band itself will not be taking one dime of that money from sales of the album. Every bit of it will be gathered up and will be sent to the Owen Sound Rotary Club, and it will go directly into the Sending Kids to Camp Presqu'île Fund. reason being behind that, I worked at Presqu'île for years. I was fortunate enough to be able to hold a guitar program out there. And, back in 2006, there were some kids that were just knee-high to a grasshopper, never picked up a guitar before, and I taught them their first little lick. And through the wonders of social media, you're able to stay in touch with these people, and they've grown up into great young men and women who are playing in their own bands, doing their own thing in their own city, making their own noise for their own sound, and like that's payment enough for me. That's payment enough for us. You know what I mean? It's just, again, pardon the pun, it's meant to be.
Well, that's a fantastic story, and I got to tell you, the Owen Sound music community is very giving as it is, and with our, my family's association with the musicians in this town, just an amazing group of people, and you guys have just made it even that much more amazing. I remember going to Presqu'île Camp when I was just a youngster, and that wasn't that long ago. Yeah, okay, it was a few moons ago. Yeah, a lot of good memories there, and I think it's a fantastic idea.
It is, and both my kids went when they were small. It's just a great camp and a great spot. So
We actually played a small show there this summer. Here. Yeah, that show was, I wasn't sure. I got told about the show, and I thought, well, okay. I'm not originally from the area, from Oshawa, but I've really grown into this area. But anyways, we went up and we played it, and I'll tell you, the excitement, the fun in the crowd, it was the kids who were just headbanging. They were loving it. Jesse went out with the wireless all the way around. And to see the look at the end, and they came up for autographs. We had posters for them, and the smiles on their faces were, matched with the smiles on our faces. I haven't had that much fun at a gig in my life.
If nothing else happens, you always have that memory, right?
Yeah.
That's something money can't buy you that
Like
memory.
a rock star.
Can't buy you that.
A rock star that night.
Yeah, and you know what? Judging by their faces and their reaction to what you guys showed them, you did just as much for them as they did for you, and that's what it's about, isn't it? Your fans, they give to you, you give it right back to them. It's just, it's a two-way street, that's for sure.
It's cool too, because we did, like we were saying earlier, a little song with my son, who's sort of the backup drummer in the band, and his name is Michael Trimble, by the way. A little shout out to him.
Michael, you rock, brother.
Rock,
Michael,
buddy.
you rock.
Shout out to Michael.
And but afterwards, Jesse had a bunch of posters made, and to hand out to each of the kids. And something unexpected was everybody wanted autographs, and so we all went around and signed all these posters, and even Michael was, they wanted his autograph too. So on the ride home, he said that so far it was the best night of his life.
I remember.
And I thought, you know what, that's amazing.
That's amazing,
So-
absolutely amazing. Okay, so you guys have supplied us with a copy of a video clip. Actually, we have the entire song, and we'll probably play it on the show. And it's from the new EP, Meant to Be, and the track is called Burning Bridges. All right, we're going to take a look at that, and we'll be right back. And fantastic. We'll be looking forward to that when it comes out. Okay, so let's have. Okay, where am I going here? Where am I going, guys? Tell me where I'm going.
Where are we going, eh?
We can go with. How about a strange or humorous thing that has happened at one of your shows?
Oh boy. Okay. Well, a couple come to my mind. I'm going to spout off the first one. And it happened actually at the Presqu'île when we went out there to rock with the kids. We were in the middle of playing our song, actually the title track from this EP, Meant to Be. And during the bridge, because I had the capabilities with the wireless guitar, I thought I'd bring a bit of the rock show right into the kids. So I got off the stage and ran right out there with them and got headbanging with them, and that was all great. And prior to doing that, I had mapped out my course back to the stage. I saw, okay, this is where the kids are. I can go out this way. I can come back around this way. Everything's hunky-dory. Well, as soon as I got out there, like the floor of kids collapsed kind of on itself and took away that passage. And so I'm out there, and the bridge is about to wrap up, and I've got to get back to the stage to sing the last chorus, and I'm panicking because where am I going to go? So I had to go all the way around through the kitchen, down the hallway by the bathrooms. I just made it back to the microphone by the skin of my teeth. I mean, it looked great on video. It looked like I meant to do it. We'd planned it out 100 times, but really, no, it was just sheer luck.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on now to who do you feel influences the sound, your sound that you have, that you've been working on? What bands?
That is a very good question.
I think we all come from very different backgrounds. I grew up in the early 90s listening to Nirvana and Alice in Chains. I was big into, and I know Pablo was too, into the punk scene. Bands like NoFX and Noise for Name and Lagwagon. So for me, to be playing the heavy metals is awesome, but my roots kind of bring that taste to the band.
Perfect. Jesse?
I think that
Jesse, Scott, I got it. You're Scott.
My influences are Metallica. Metallica was the reason that I picked up guitar. When I first wanted to learn how to play guitar, I didn't want to learn the chords. I didn't want to learn E minor and G. I wanted to learn Master of Puppets, and I wanted to learn Enter Sandman and Fuel. So that was the band that definitely kicked in my love of guitar. And then from there, I got into Godsmack. I really love Godsmack. I think their marriage of hard rock metal meets tribal rhythm and percussion is just perfect. It's just such a wonderful sound. And then really any kind of rock and roll that came out of the 80s. Motley Crue is big in my books. I mean, hair metal was as cheesy can be, but in the grand scheme of hair metal, Motley Crue, I think, was the real deal.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So those are my influences.
Yeah, I'll echo what Jesse said in terms of Metallica. For me, Metallica was a big influence growing up. Something I'd always put on in the morning on my headphones on the way to school. Just kind of, it'll get me through the trials of the day. As well as with that thing, bands like Iron Maiden, the bass, that's where it really picked up for me, that galloping bass. That's what stuck in my head, and that's what I wanted to recreate. So yeah, I'd say Metallica, Iron Maiden. Then the big soft spot for me is Black Sabbath as well too.
Oh, perfect.
Sabbath. Yeah, I could say Sabbath as well for sure, but definitely
discriminate against heavy metal.
No, I definitely Judas Priest. But then you can get into some Caius.
We were friends a few minutes ago. We're even bigger friends now. I love Sabbath.
Oh,
live for Sabbath. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
Sabbath.
sorry.
But Caius, some Clutch in there too. Just the good stuff. Anything good. Good music's good music. And, I love it. Simple as that.
All right, guys. Got some great stuff going on here. I knew tonight was going to be a good interview. I had a good feeling about this one. I love what you guys are doing. All the proceeds from your first EP. How many songs? 5?
5 songs.
5-song EP called Meant to Be.
Actually, we'll do a quick shout out, and this is another thing about supporting local, and this is what SOULSLAVE does. Is we've decided to record our EP in Port Elgin. There's a gentleman by the name of Dan Slinger who's opened up shop right on Main Street in Port Elgin, and it's called Blackboard Sound. And if you haven't been there, go and check it out. Dan's a super cool guy. He knows his stuff. And it's our first crack at the studio, and just how welcoming he has been, and his assistant Christina Edwards. They're just wonderful people, wonderful to work with, very understanding. There's no real timeline. Like, we've had a couple months off just with Christmas and the holidays, and we all have families and lives and that. So we're gonna get back into the swing and finish up this album in March. And yeah, so yeah, just a quick shout out to Blackboard Sound. If you haven't been there, check them out. Unreal.
Okay, you guys make sure you let us know on Amplify Unplugged, and we'll get you back on the show, and we'll do everything we can to promote that album for you. The EP is just a fantastic cause, and it's great what you are doing. So, big show coming up Saturday, January 28th at the H2O Lounge, headlined by last week's guest, Killing Clarence. You guys are on the bill. And along with a band called Slackhead. The doors open at 8 o'clock. Show starts at 8:30. And let's see, $4 $4 to get in, $8, and they'll throw in a beer for the $8. And I'm unfortunately got my daughter's buck and dough that night, so we can't make it, but I encourage everyone to make sure you get out, check these guys out, hear some of their new music, and that's going to do it for this episode of Amplify Unplugged. My name is Rob Leonard, and you are?
Soul Slave. And we're sending Soul Slave love.